Hey there, happy Wednesday evening. So I am doing a double feature today. Time has allowed, the guys have allowed me to be able to have this time, to find time. And I just came back in from outside and just my first live was a few hours ago. Not that long ago, it was this afternoon. And now it is like 20 degrees colder and that wind just hits my ears. Wow. I hope I'm not sick by tomorrow because of it. That's so silly. All right, so I'm here on Belle Harder Inkspiring Others, hoping to inspire you with another beautiful card. This one is just hits the softness in all the right tones and textures. It's pretty much monochromatic, but that's where the little bits of pinks and greens really pop when everything else is so soft, subtle, and monochromatic. Hello there, Lynette. I was hoping to see you this past week, or this beginning of this week in Medelia, but it's good to see you on here. Let me get my camera turned around. All right, here we have it. So I'm using 3 different stamp sets for today's card. I'm using Spotlight on Nature here for the tulips, Elements of Text for that background, words, just subtle words, and then the blotchiness, and also then Unbounded Love. That one is with the sympathy. That's where that comes from. So kind of a fun collection of stamp sets that come together beautifully. So I kind of like to highlight all that, and it just, like I said, love how this turned out. It would be fun to do this is like crumb cake. It'd be great to see it in grays and different things. You could do this sympathy or Mother's Day or birthday or thinking of you or even hello. It's a great spring card for sure. So let me show you, yes, the different things that I'm using. So this is where that tulip, I kind of feel like I'm getting a glare. I want it to be clear, but not glared, right? So I'm getting the tulip from Spotlight on Nature. And then that background, like I said, is this big round one. And then I'm also using the splotch to add some light texture look for the background. Also, you won't see it, but it'll be very clear when I go to put the card together. The Cute Crochet 3D embossing folder. This one is on the last chance list. It's been marked from $10 down to $9. Otherwise, I think everything I'm using is pretty much sticking around either in the annual catalog or moving to online, where sometimes it's harder to find it. And then around the edges here is the textured notes dies, and I'm using the 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have to decide 4th or 5th. Oh, okay. So yeah, that's out because it's used for a different project I'm in the middle of. So second from the largest, put it that way. And all of these have a different design around the edges, which makes it kind of fun. So that's the one I'm using for today's project. So like I said, lots of little things, and the other things that I'll be using, I'll just kind of mention as I go along. So the color combination literally is just very vanilla and crumb cake, just using some neutral tones here for the cardstock. My card base is crumb cake, and I'm folding it this way tonight. And then I've already pre-done, I used that Cute Crochet and ran that through my cut and emboss machine. This is 3D, and so you can see, I don't know, the camera doesn't pick it up very well, and it's not because the embossing folder isn't well done. It's because it's such a light neutral color. So that's where we're going to start with today's card. And when you see this come to life, it'll make all of your embossing folders kind of maybe look in a different way to you. So I'm going to open up my crumb cake ink pad here, and I'm going to pull out one of my larger blending brushes. It's called blending brush, I guess. The larger ones are just called blending brushes. The smaller ones are called small. So the large aren't called large. They're just called blending brushes, and the small ones, they get the name. So I'm just going to go counterclockwise here in my ink pad. And then what I want to do is kind of catch these edges. That's all that's going to show anyway on my card are the edges. And I could just do this on my glass mat, because that's a great way to just work the ink onto the card, but I don't want to accidentally get some ink where it's not supposed to be on the card. But actually a lot of this is going to look distressed by adding some ink here and there, and so I don't think it'll be bad if I got some ink on my card where it wasn't supposed to. So now hopefully you can see where these edges are coming to life there. Like I said, you could hardly see the design, but now that I've used my blending brush with that crumb cake ink, then you can see all of that really come to life. Another one of the embossing folders that I like to do with this is the distressed tile. So you can see that. Hello there, Deb. Thanks for jumping on. All right, so now this is ready to go on my card. So I'm just going to put some adhesive, and I kind of want to be generous only in the fact of going kind of to the corners. Sometimes I just put a little bit here and there, and that's good enough, but I want to go to the corners since this is a 3D embossing folder. And then I'm just going to press that down. And then the next layer that I'm going to work with is, like I said, those textured notes dies. I did this one ahead of time too. So second from the largest in the textured notes dies. And I've got this, I'm going to do that same thing. So I'm going to pull back over my crumb cake ink, and I'm deciding to just, say forget it to my scratch paper. And I'm just going to get this to go in and around the edges. So what I first held up, when I mentioned textured notes, you're like, okay, there's probably supposed to be a design. I don't see much of it. But now as I add that along the edges, that's going to hopefully make the design pop. It's hard to know. I don't probably have great lighting in here anymore because I can hear thunder coming. Definitely dark outside now. But now this is a layer that I'm going to do my stamping on. So let me start, I think, with just the Textures of Element, this big round one. I'm just going to kind of lightly tap it on there. I'm actually going to kind of tap off up in the corner for a second generation stamp. So you can kind of see that it's on there, but it's not dark and it doesn't take center stage. Well, it might for now, but it's not going to soon, because now this is where I'm going to grab those tulips from Spotlight on Nature. Just going to ink these tulips up this way, kind of angle it just a little bit, like so. Give it a nice firm pressure. Now that becomes the spotlight there. So that's kind of fun that we have these words going around there. And I love that there's like a little bit of a white presence there, because then I think it gives kind of that 3D perspective look to the whole project. And now actually let's add, got my little blops and plops here. Just gonna stamp off and then lightly add some of these little texture dots. They're not showing up much because I barely tapped on my ink pad, but that's kind of how I like it to be. So it kind of just looks now 100 years older than when we started a few minutes ago, right? And that's kind of the whole idea of it, and I love it. So now to add just a subtle bit of color to this, let me actually get my camera a little bit closer. I feel like something happened with Facebook not too long ago, and I can have my camera, or my phone is where I film from. I can have it the same distance as I always used to, but it just seems like it's further away for some reason. So what I'm going to use to color this in is my light old olive and my dark pretty in pink. So very complementing colors there. I'm going to start with my dark pretty in pink, and I'm just going to follow down some of these lines that are in the tulips. So my favorite flower happens to be a tulip. If you want to tune in and chime in with what your favorite flower is, go right ahead. I always think that's kind of fun to see all the different flowers that people enjoy and what their favorite is. So I'm not doing too much with this, just those 3 flowers and just kind of lightly there. And even there, I feel like, gosh, is that dark? But like I say, give it a few minutes and it will lighten up, because like I said, we want this to be kind of like a subtle thing. Hello there, Kelly. Good to see you on here. Oh, and wow, that was kind of hard to open there on my old olive. Okay, so now I'm going to do that same thing. Just kind of follow down some of the lines here on the leaves. Not all of them. We don't want that to stand out too much. If anything, I'm just going to maybe fill in on the bottom a little bit here where the leaves connect, and that's it. I'm not even going over those stems or anything. Look at how pretty that is. So this is a great card for my quote non-colors quote, because it adds a little bit of something without being like frustratingly hard to color or too much coloring for sure. So got that. And now what I'm going to do is take from that Textured Notes dies, I want to show you this because I think it'll make more sense. So when you get this set, we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 4 that's missing, 5 and 6, and then across the top, I think I have it packed for another project, but what I have is the die then that would sit on its own up here, and it is this size like so. So that will give you an idea. And now with this being a photopolymer stamp, with Sympathy, and like I said, this is from Unbounded Love. That one is carrying over from the annual catalog into the online area. So if you put this on your wish list for future and don't see it in this next upcoming annual catalog, which I've heard some of you are receiving in the mail and such, don't be afraid, it is sticking around. I love the Unbounded Love stamp set for the fact that there's so many great sayings for so many occasions that we use often, and the font is kind of fun that way too. And with this one, the Unbounded Love, the one thing to keep in mind since it's moving over is that it will probably be stamps and die separately. I'm not for sure about that yet. So that'll be interesting to see how that breaks down. Usually they're bundle savings when they're first debuted in a catalog, and then they get separated, and then we lose a 10% savings that way. All right, so now this is going to be ready to go on here. I'm just going to pick up, see that ink that I had just previously put when I wanted to stamp off the text elements. Now I'm just picking that ink right back up, kind of cleaning up after myself, and just rubbing gently across the With Sympathy to kind of add a little bit of color, and then to catch those edges so that the stitching on that die shows up a little bit better. All right, so before I attach that to this, I'm going to get out my linen thread here. Oh, I can hear the rain coming. It's kind of been weird. I've been where it's been raining today and where it's not been raining today, and I see posts from people on Facebook that they got drenched, and I'm like, I was just there, or I just missed that, or those people didn't get rain. How did they not get rain? So kind of a goofy weather day, but that's kind of just the way it is. All right, so I've wrapped my linen thread around this card now twice. Let me get my ribbon cutting scissors, and this is just going to be a knot. So just going to trim that so that both sides are equal there, and that's all that I'm going to do with that. I'm just going to kind of scrunch it together just a little bit more. And now I am going to make sure that I saved enough room for the With Sympathy, which I did, so I can turn that over and add a couple dimensionals here to that and take the backing off of that. I'm just going to scoot this up maybe just a little bit more. Okay, there we go, With Sympathy. And then I'm going to turn this over again and put some dimensionals in all 4 corners, and even a couple in the middle too for this. So yeah, this is one of those cards that I am going to put kind of in my back burner of my brain if I need like a whole stack of quick and easy cards for several different occasions, just to make this up, and then even maybe cut out some of these extra of the die cut and have that ready to go too, because this would make a great card even for weddings. We're getting to be wedding season here pretty soon. I know we've got a couple coming up in May already. So there's that. And now the fun part of the card, my favorite is the embellishments. So these are the Tiny Bee trinkets, and they are tiny. So the fun thing about this, because they're so tiny, if you like your green glue, you could put kind of a couple dots of glue, set these on top, let them dry. If you know me at all, I'm not patient for that. You could take one complete mini glue dot and just kind of wad it up. I'll kind of show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to place my tiny bead trinket on there, and you can see it kind of rests maybe on the glue dot, maybe you can't see it. And as I pull it off, I kind of am pinching it, so we roll that mini glue dot underneath that so that it doesn't look like we've got extra globby glue, and that works really well too. Or what you could do too is just unroll to the, let's see, the mini glue dot, cut it in half here, and then just take your pick tool and then just do that same thing. But the half of the mini glue dot, because it's then like a half circle, is kind of the same shape then as this tiny bead trinket there. I'm kind of glad that I put the camera close, because these things are so tiny. They are not available now. The good news is that they're carrying over. I just tried to order some for someone, and they showed up as unavailable, even though I know I just ordered some, I think it was Monday. So they will be back in, so don't fear. Or if you want to be put on a list to be notified when they're back in, I can do that for you as well. And now for the inside, what I'm going to do is just take these tulips again, here they are, and re-ink those up in that crumb cake ink again, just like I did for the front of the card. And that's just going to kind of sit and nest in the bottom there, like so. And then I happened to pull the Thinking of You out of that Easter bundle that I've been using nonstop, that Faith collection, because I love it. And the Thinking of You, I think, just looks so nice and soft, kind of plain and small, like a lot of the outside. I feel like it's a good coordinating inside for this card. So I'm just now going to put a little bit of adhesive on this. And now this is ready to go. What I think really is just fun is how the elements of text, that stamp set, how just having that in the background to kind of just fill that space, and then having this extra blotch on there to really make it look aged and just authentic like that is just so fun. Probably my favorite parts of the whole card. I don't know, those tiny bead trinkets, so they're kind of cute too. All right, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed some inspiration, my brand name Inspiration here. So I enjoy bringing you the things that I'm working on behind the scenes here for classes, or even just for cards that I need to send out to people too. So that way those that can't make it to my in-person events or don't see me often kind of know what I'm up to, and also give you guys some more ideas, because I always feel like if I'm making something, I should be sharing it, and I can't share it with, I can't send a card to every single person every single day. So this is a fun way for me to share, is by doing videos, and I hope that you feel like you're kept in the loop that way too. Thank you, Deb. Yes. Oh, okay. And Deb's favorite flower is the Gerber daisy. Yes, those are so fun. I always feel like they always look so perfect, and they last for so long too. That's a good one. Yes, very good. All right. So my goal is to, even though it's Good Friday tomorrow, is to at least pop in if I can and do one video for you guys. And if you're too busy, you can always catch me on the replay too. Just because I'm live doesn't mean you have to be live right with me, but it is fun for me to see some names pop up while I'm doing this. So take care. Have a good rest of your evening. Hope to see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.